Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Yarn Tales by Kit. This is a podcast about creativity, handmade items, especially knitting and crocheting. I love yarn, I love color, I love creating, and I want to share my enthusiasm and hope to inspire you along the way with your making. We are joined today with Coco. She may be here for a short bit. Who knows how long? She likes the sun. It's a chilly day outside, somewhere around 5 degrees. Very cold, but nice and toasty in the sun and in the house. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to check this out. I want to share with you a little bit about my journey, and then I'm going to share with you about my plan for the year and about what I'm wearing. So I have been doing arts and crafts since I was a child. I was part of a 4-H group, and so the sewing was really the main craft that I participated in back in the day. And I sewed from the age of 7 till probably my early 20s, and I made a lot of clothes. I made many of the things that I wore, and I, in fact, went to school and got a degree in clothing and textiles and a minor in art. That art minor sort of surprised me. I didn't take any art in high school, so I didn't anticipate that, and I didn't really value my skills in that until much later. And that'll come later in the story. So when I was young, maybe 9 or 10, my mom was into knitting a little bit. She made ponchos. She made one for herself that was really gorgeous, and I still have it. Some other day I'll show that to you. And then she made each of us girls one, and mine was red, and I wore it a lot. It was interesting. I'll tell a little tiny story about her. She made beautiful ponchos. Mine had a little flaw right about here, and I didn't like that little flaw. Call it a design feature, it just didn't work for me. So what I did was I found a name patch, said Kathy, which was the name my mom calls me, and so I put this patch right over the top of it. I don't know if she found it or I found it, but it made a beautiful way to add to the poncho and hide that little error. You know, we sometimes have errors. We have to decide, are we going to let them be, or are we going to frog and fix it, or are we going to put something over the top of it? So that when she was learning to knit, I learned to knit as well. Not for very long, not for very much. I made a about this big. It was a little skirt. Well, let's call it a swatch. And I made it into a skirt for one of the Barbie dolls. I had a Julia doll. She was the nurse, and I made her a little skirt. Our dolls had a lot of clothes because we took all those sewing scraps to a lady who made them into doll clothes, Barbie clothes, and we had a lot of fun with all of those clothes, changing them, taking to events. They each had a wedding dress. They each had what did we call those, square dancing outfit, you know, with the poofy skirts, and we had men as well, and they had like a vest to go with the square dance outfit that the ladies wore. They had pajamas, they had fancy couture things. It was really, we had beautiful clothes for our dolls. I think I still have those down in the basement. So that was just my only adventure into knitting at that time. Then when I was a senior in high school, I took a class. It was a home economics class. I had plenty of credits ready to graduate. So what I did was I took a class that was just an extra for fun. It was called Knickknacks, and we did a lot of different creative things in there, and one of them was learning to crochet. And so I made a much larger sampler. It didn't really become anything. I don't know if it exists anywhere today. That showed the basics of single crochet, double crochet, and treble crochet. I enjoyed it very much, but didn't go on to do anything with it. Went on to college, and as I say, I did get a degree in clothing and textiles, did a lot of sewing then. One of my favorite things, two favorite things, I made a red swing coat. It had these large sleeves, like a dolman, only even larger. And it was really a beautiful coat. I actually do still have that somewhere too. And even after I stopped wearing it regularly, I continued to call it my ice skating coat, because if I would go ice skating and have my arms out while I would spin around, that was a beautiful, perfect coat for that. And I also made a tailored suit at that time. And that's something that was really beautiful and quite skillful to make. Let's see. After college, a lot of my creativity went dormant as I went into the business world and tried to, make my way in those realms. And then maybe about 15 years ago, I worked with a person who reads energy, and she said, "You need to do something creative every day." And I was like, oh. So at that time, I got into art journaling, and I attended a program called Creative Awakenings, Living the Life of Your Dreams, I'm so sorry, I forgot the Creative Awakenings, Creating the Life of Your Dreams Through Art. Forgetting the word right there. Sorry, Sherry. A wonderful program out of Colorado by Sherry Gaynor. And I really got into color again. And that's one of the things I've always known, is how much I love color. And so to do visual journals with, cutting out magazine images and adding color to the page and having that allow the unconscious part of ourselves to tell a story, I had a great deal of fun with that. And then knitting and crochet and yarn crossed my path again. I'm not quite sure how, did I just think, oh, I'd like to knit? Or, I really don't remember, but I did take a couple of classes at the local yarn store or the big box store. And I also did a lot of YouTube videos. A friend of mine actually started to teach me, and she taught me how to knit English style. And that didn't work for me, because having been a crocheter, I really enjoyed holding the yarn in my left hand and having the tension in that hand. And so then I started to follow some YouTube videos, and I did a European style knitting that, though it was efficient and I was getting good at it, it meant that patterns were going to be a little bit off for my ability, because some things don't translate in the exact stitching. That's a little complicated. We won't get into that. So instead, what I did was I then, again, took a class to learn continental knitting and studied more YouTube videos, and I really began to enjoy continental knitting. And then along the way, I also said, hey, let's get back into crochet. And my big claim to fame with crochet, I don't know, claim to fame, but a few years ago in 2017, I followed Nadia Fouad. She's at Yarn Utopia, and she has 365 granny squares, each with a video. Amazing. Thank you, Nadia. I followed her program, and I made 365 granny squares that year. A few of them got made in 2019, most in 2017, but you do your best and you work towards a goal and achieve it as best as you can. That was a fabulous project. I will tell you, those granny squares are in my closet. They have not yet become a blanket or a bunch of ponchos or shawls. They will. They just they aren't speaking to me right now. Other things are. And so over the last 10, 12 years, I have both knit and crochet. I've done a lot of scarves. I've done a good number of blankets for babies and nieces and nephews. That's been really fun. And I really do enjoy crocheting blankets. I think it goes pretty quickly, especially if you use a bulky yarn. And there's just a lot of fun to see it blossom quickly. And, truthfully, I've made a full-size blanket in under 20 hours. So that's been pretty awesome. I have a couple of those to make this year. We'll see how that goes, because my goal for this year is 12 sweaters in 12 months. Maybe ambitious, but I think it'll happen. I've done a handful of sweaters over the last number of years. Maybe 6, maybe 5. So I think my skills and my pattern reading and the support that I now have is available in a way that, my light went out, which is why it got much darker. I know how to get that back. First podcast, rookie errors. I think you'll stick by me, right? Let's see if I can get that to work while I'm still continuing to talk. So there we go. Get the laptop back up. And in so doing, now I can get the light back on. Maybe that helps. Maybe the light without the light is better. We'll learn. I'll learn. So, sweaters, yarn. Over the last dozen years, I have acquired, collected, purchased yarn. And at first I didn't even know how much to buy. I went to Ireland 5 years ago and I bought some yarn. Not enough to make a sweater. And it's still over there. It's going to be something. I don't know yet what. And that's the beauty of this visual display of yarn. It just inspires me and it percolates inside of me. And so it's like, there's that yarn. Ooh, there's that pattern. Those two could go together beautifully. And so over time, I think about these pairings and the creation of a sweater in my mind begins to take form. So I've got a lot of yarn and I really want to use it and I really want more handmade sweaters. So that became my goal for the year, 12 sweaters in 12 months. So right now it's February 1st. I did finish my first sweater in January. It's actually the one I'm wearing right now. This is the Harley sweater. I'll just stand up a little so you see it in its full size. This is by Julia Robinson, and this sweater is offered through Knit Collage. And if you're familiar at all with Knit Collage, they make beautiful hand spun yarn. And many of them have these multicolors and extra glitter added to them, or single colors. Many beautiful things. Amy Small is the designer and creator of Knit Collage. And so maybe something you want to check out to see about their different yarns, their different patterns. What they often do is, I believe it's 3 times a year, or maybe just twice. They have a knit along or a crochet along, or now it's called a make along. So you can knit or crochet. They have both offerings. And they do a fabulous job of offering kits, or you can design your own or use your stash. And then they have video tutorials to go with the making of that sweater. And that's great if you're beginning or if you're looking to start something new, to do a new skill. This sweater is called entrelac, the way that each of these little squares come together to form a whole sweater. Entrelac was a little bit like, whoa, it looks hard. And so to take on this sweater, I was like, oh, am I ready for it? And indeed I was. And again, the videos are so beautiful, so helpful, and really help us to know how to make something, how to take it one step at a time. It's well broken down. And There's also help available during the Make Along one-on-one help, where you can sign up for a Zoom call to meet with one of their specialists. And thanks Cheryl, thanks Anne, a lot of help there. And to work through any stumbling blocks. And so with this sweater, I did call upon Cheryl a couple of times, few times perhaps, and got support where needed. And just a good year of, yep, that looks good, that'll work. This sweater started with this yarn. Now this is called Mega by a company called Ella Ray, and the color is mauve gold, and it does have gold in it. I love this. It's a low spin, low twist yarn. And when I received this ages ago, I don't know, 6 years ago, I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know if I had enough for a sweater or any item. I just loved it. And my sister was working at a Tuesday morning, and I'm sure I got a good discount. Thanks, Christy. So that was fun. And then over time, I thought, well, what can I pair with this sweater if there's not going to be enough? And so this beautiful has some mauve and pink in it, as well as the gold, obviously. And so I thought, oh, these two, that's a good start. And then somehow I thought the Harley sweater. I don't know when I thought it. Well over a year ago, because this was part of a make-along that I was a part of more than a year ago. And it wasn't the one I was going to make for that make-along. In their make-alongs, there's usually more than one offering, and you can choose which one appeals to you, but you get all of them. How awesome is that? So it's in your library, and you can use the videos in the future. So then I brought in the third color. So with this is called Daisy Chain, and the color is Dune Twist. Really a lovely one of my favorites. This is Spun Cloud, one of their mainstays. It is a thick and thin yarn, as you can see. Let's see if we can get some really thicker pieces that show up. And it does have the gold spun into it. And this color is Honeysuckle. So now I've got 3 colors, and I'm not sure exactly how many colors this pattern must have. 2 maybe is all, if you want to just have it every other row, shifting colors. Or you can get much more creative like I did. So with mine, I decided, well, again, last summer I found some faux fur yarn on clearance at Joann's. So I grew up, as I said, sewing. And so Joann Fabric was a mainstay in my life. And I loved going there. It's a place to dream. Any yarn store is a place to dream and to think about, what do I want to make? What can I create? And so sometimes you just go, you don't know what you're going to find. And I found these beauties. In fact, I don't even think I found all 3 of them at once. Alexandra Travell of Crew 2 of Wands. She makes the bucket hat with this faux fur. It's called Go for Faux by Lion Brand. And I thought, oh, I'll make a bucket hat. In fact, I think I ordered some online because I thought I would do that. And then I found some at Joann on clearance. So I'm like, oh, okay, now I've got more. Maybe these will be gifts. Well, lo and behold, I ended up, as I say, with these 3 colors. This mauve, which matches the mauve impeccably, with a gold flecks through it. This one's called Nebula. The pink, which I'm a lover of pink, and again, it goes beautifully with the Dune Twist, the pale pink in there, as well as, like I say, some mauve, little bits of mauve in there. So this one's called Pink Poodle, and I used to have a poodle, standard poodle, so I'm all about the poodles and the doodles. And then this one is called Comet, some gray with gold flecks. And again, even in the dune twist, there is a hint of gray coloring here and there. That's what's beautiful about this, is that it really has so many colors to pull together. So then I had 6 colors, and then I had a puzzle. And in the pattern, if I can find the exact page right here, these are actually sleeve pages, but you see you've got a schematic. And so I could really do some figuring of what would be the order of my colors, which one would be primary. I really did want the mauve to be the primary color, the Mega by Ella Ray. And so it has become the main color. It is on the cuffs, the ribbing along the bottom, and then there is one square across and the ribbing at the end. Let's see, there's much to say about this sweater. There were moments when I started this sweater at the very beginning where I thought, this isn't going to work. Yikes. And that's the thing to keep in mind, is that we play with our creativity, hopefully, because the moment I get out of the playful mode and I get into the, oh, how's this working? Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, darn it. If I get frustrated and I lose my sense of adventure and my sense of play, it's just not as much fun for me and what may yet become. So it was after the first just beginning piece, the ribbing and perhaps just the gold, maybe a second row. And I thought, oh, I don't think this is going to work. But I just decided to keep going. And I put on the third color. And it sort of, what happened was the fur got, poofy, really fluffy. And I knew it would. That even making in the swatch, I highly suggest, yes, indeed, make your swatch. I could see that the fur was going to poof out around. So the wool yarn stayed much more precise and contained in this little area. I got gauge here. And then this was like going to be not gauge. It was going to be too big. So what I decided was, okay, I'll use the size 13 needles recommended for this. And then when I'm doing the entrelac here, I will use a size 11 needle. Now that may not work in most sweaters to use different size needles, and maybe it will when you're using a different type of yarn. With entrelac, it very easily worked because these are contained, and then these are contained separately. Now again, there's parameters, they help each other in like a puzzle piece fitting together, but it worked very fine for me to use the 13s here and the 11s here. And guess what? There was also a moment where I forgot to switch. I don't remember which row it was. It might have been these grays right in the middle. It didn't matter. It was okay. It came together. I could have fretted about it. I could have decided, I better pull those out. And I'm like, nope, just do it. Just let it be. And that's what I did. And continued on. And really the sweater worked out perfectly as far as the fit goes. I did have some modifications. Entrelac is a unique sort of construction, not for beginners. Unless you're really adventurous and you sign up for the tutorials and all that, it's possible. But there are a lot of factors as we make this, direction and orientation. In my other life with my husband, we do cognitive development and teaching people skills. And that's something that had to really be understood. Which way are these going to lay? Which way are these going to lay? What colors? This is a raglan sleeve. And so the shirt, the body part, comes in along here. And then, Mom's calling. Sorry, Mom, can't answer your call now. I'm recording. So, to see how these were going to line up, and again, color placement in the alignment, that was some trickery. Not fooling, but it was just, it had some really complex problem solving. Again, I hate to call it a problem, but a challenging, thought process. yet walked through and with support. And so it worked out beautifully. Now, I knew that some of the people who make this sweater and it comes out really loose, positive ease, boxy. I'm not a fan of a lot of positive ease. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make a size 1. Maybe a 2 might have been better if somebody wanted the boxy style, but I didn't want that. And so however, I wanted a little more length. So I did add 2 extra rows of these rectangles. That had its own, unique set of challenges. You had to have 2 rows so that they aligned, left leaning, right leaning. Now, when it came to the sleeves, I thought, well, the coloring is going to be exactly the same in the arms as it is in the body if I don't add a row. I don't add any rows. So I thought, I like that. Here I am finished, and I'm like, I wish these sleeves were longer. As I spoke with Cheryl through Knit Collage, the help support, I could do some major deconstruction here. No, I'm not interested in that. I am a process knitter. I do not mind frogging, pulling out. I don't mind, getting a new fresh start. But when something's finished, the idea of taking it apart to fix it, no. However, there is a pretty simple detail. You tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm okay. I haven't blocked this yet because it's finished yesterday on January 31st. Actually, I think I finished on January 30th, but I can, get this to come down and grow a little vertically as it shrinks a little in the round. It'll shrink up and then it grows to a little bit longer on my arm. It's perfectly fine with no extra length. It might be better with some of that blocking to a little bit extra length. And what I could do is cut off the bind off, and then I could get the yarn where it is like almost to be unraveling, join a new yarn, and then knit down so that I can have a longer cuff, a longer rib, a longer bit of sleeve. And I like that. I mean, I've had sweaters where, there is a good, 4 inches around your arm, maybe 5 even inches along the arm, kind of cozy that way. I'm leaning toward that. I may very well do that. I'm interested in your thoughts about making a modification after the fact for yourself, or what you think maybe would be good for this sweater. Again, it's all play. It's all creativity. And whatever one decides is right for them is perfectly fine. Let me take a look at my notes here and see if there's anything more that I need to share with you. Well, I think I've covered most of my details as far as my plan for the year, 12 sweaters in 12 months. And my next sweater is going to be the Ranunculus. That's by, I get the 2 names mixed up. I think it's Hohi Locatelli. There's also Midori Hirose. I'm sorry, ladies. Your names sound somewhat ethnically similar to me. I could be completely wrong there as well. And so I'm confused as to who made it. Ranunculus, though, if you look up on Ravelry, you will see many people have made the Ranunculus. In fact, I was just looking at the pages. I don't know. Is it? I don't even want to guess. Maybe 16,000? Well, I love the Ranunculus. It is a little bit of a boxy, but a very lightweight, flowy sweater. And I did make one last year in a fingering weight yarn that is a fine summer sweater. This one is going to be using a wool yarn, still fingering weight, and I'm going to hold it with a mohair and it will be, more of a long sleeved, still somewhat oversized boxy, and really flowy, but warm for the winter, warm, cozy fluff. I hope to get back to you soon, not at the end of the month, just showing you the finished product. Creating a podcast has been a joy, an excitement, and yet the challenge is learning film editing and uploading. And I am a few years older than some of us, and so the idea of all this new technology is something to learn, and that's cool. And I've got a wonderful young lady who comes over to help me and learn how to do all those skills. So that's fantastic. So hopefully, as I'm learning how to do this well, I will be able to upload more regularly. Maybe twice a month, as to check in at the beginning about the new sweater, to check in the middle, how's it going, to check in at the end to show you, and then to tell you about the new one that's coming. In fact, it should be right at my fingertips. Let me grab it. These are the two yarns I will be using for my ranunculus. This one is called Wisdom Yarns Angora Lace. That's the one yarn held with. This is Kid Silk Haze by Rowan. And the color couldn't be better. It's color match. This one I believe I got online at Universal Yarns. And this one I bought in Colorado on vacation. In Edwards, Colorado. And I'm sorry, I have no memory of the name of the store. But Edwards, Colorado was the town. So thanks to them and thanks to online opportunities, I will be so excited to get this one rolling and share more information with you about that process. If you'd like to see my other works that I've made so far, well, no, it's not all the things I've made so far. I love Ravelry, and I do have a Ravelry account. It's Kit Kat Pizzazz. The day that I needed to create a name, that's what came to me. So KITKAT PIZZAZZ. So Kit Kat Pizzazz, that's where you can find me on Ravelry. And you can see some of my other projects, including my other ranunculus. You can see how I'm, progressing on other things coming forward. I did make one other project already this year. I like to have two projects going. I'm not completely monogamous. I like two. One, something easy to have on the needles when I don't have a lot of brain juice, but at the same time, I want to do some mindless knitting or crocheting. And then one that's a little more challenging. So the Sophie scarf is hot these days. Sorry, I can't tell you who's making that one. But if you go to Ravelry, you can find the Sophie scarf. And I made this, and then I gave it to a friend. She tried it on, because I believe if you give somebody something handmade, they need to love it. And that's how I talk to a friend of mine. It's like, do you love it? Is it right for you? Because if it's not right for you, I'll make you something else. Well, what we both discovered was that I did add mohair to this. And this particular mohair and it has a stellina, the gold with it, around the neck. It's just, for many people, too scratchy. This may very well get frogged in its entirety. I have one other thought of who it might be for, and if it doesn't affect her in that same sort of like feeling too scratchy, then she will have it. If not, it will be frogged to be using just the multicolor yarn. At first I thought this was just sort of, simple, plain, but it's got a nice sheen to it. So it could have been a beautiful Sophie scarf all in all, just on its own. And this was the mohair with the stellina in it. This one is, the label is covered over, I think it's Louisa Harding. Also a coup find at Tuesday morning. And this one, I don't have any name for it at all because a friend of mine gave me some yarn at one time and no label came with that one. All right. I think that's all for this first go around. I'm still working on my name. I hope that I can add it in here or at the beginning. I think we'll have a good snazzy one that actually my husband helped me come up with. And this was fun. Thanks for watching. I hope you stayed all the way to the end. Whether you are a knitter, crocheter, family member, friend, thanks for watching. And I have two favorite ways to end things. I'm not sure if I'll do one or the other. One is ta-ta for now, and the other is to be continued. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.